I'm live. All right. Haven't done one of these in a while. Just wanted to do. They're at it again. The false prophets are at it again now, and they're starting to say that the rapture is going to happen on the Feast of Trumpets this year, which is the 23rd of September. Okay. I'm going to give you some homework to do instead of actually going through the Bible because I don't have time for that right now. So what I'm going to do is just give you a few pointers. Okay, first of all, if you believe in the pre-trib rapture, it's a false doctrine. So that's what's causing all this confusion is the belief in a pre-trib rapture. If you believe that Jesus is going to return when the rapture happens, then you will not go for these false predictions. The reason why is because it says clearly in the Bible that no one knows the day or hour of his return. Only Jesus knows that, right? So they use that to conveniently separate the return from the rapture. But it's much more insidious and much more evil than that. The rapture doctrine is only just a little tiny part of a major apostasy that the mainstream evangelicals have taken, a path that they have taken. And most of this starts with, I'm sure it goes before that, because it's all spiritual. It all started when a long time ago, 2,000 years ago, the spirit of the Antichrist is what I'm talking about. But uh, John said the spirit of the Antichrist is here right now. So there's Antichrist here right now. So they've been attacking the gospel and attacking the Christianity with false doctrines for many years. And I wanted to go over core principle or core doctrine, false doctrine, is the Schofield Darby type of belief, Christian belief, Moody Bible Institute. It's damnable heresy, and it destroys the message of salvation. It destroys the gospel. It destroys everything. If you buy all that stuff, you are in a different religion than I am in. It's a different religion. So uh, I don't want to go into because partly I have to jog my memory. I have to go back and do a lot of research. But go look into the Schofield and Darby doctrine and the Movie Bible Institute. Look for critical people are critical of those doctrines. You should be able to find something about it. Just do some research into those doctrines, and you'll see that the modern day rapture originated with those people, with Darby and Schofield and their Bible and the Bible that the Moody Bible Institute, the Darfield Schofield Bible. It started with that, and what I call it is hyper dispensationalism. The reason why I call it hyper dispensationalism is I don't deny there are dispensations. Of course there is, because we have the Old and New Testament, and those are two dispensations of time. And then there will be the 1,000-year millennium and so on and so forth, right? But uh, the error is that what they do is they tear up the Bible. Basically, they call it rightly dividing the word of truth, but it's hyper dispensationalism. It's really basically a bunch of rules that exclude you from hearing the word of repentance from God and heeding the warnings that are in the Bible, and it takes away that message of the end times, what it's got to say in Revelation and Daniel and all these parts of the Bible. Even tears out parts of the gospel. What it basically does, there's different variations of it, but what it basically does is it separates believing Jews from believing Christians. So the people that were before Christ was crucified, it takes those group of people, the Jews, all the message that Jesus said to the Jews, all those sermons and all that stuff he said before he was raised from the dead, they take that and say that was only for the Jews. And then they say the same thing about certain books of the Bible. They'll say the book of James, it's only for the Jews. So it's not for you to listen to what James said. And the reason why they do that is because James said, faith without works is dead. And then if you read the book of Hebrews, notice it's called Hebrews, but nowhere in the book it says it's written to Hebrews. And it says in there uh, it says in there, it gives you chapter 11, Hebrews chapter 11 gives you a hall of faith, a different, it's called the hall of faith, and it shows all these people that says by faith Abraham listened to God, and you know, he was willing to kill his own son for a sacrifice, but the angel stopped him. But he had that's what he gives you, that as an example of faith. So faith is not just mental assent, just believing in Jesus. It's not having a card like a false teacher that I had said. Like you have a card that's like you register Republican, you register as a Christian, and that makes you saved, and there's no way you could lose your salvation. All this stuff. No, it's not like that. And so that's where the origin of all this comes from, is from people that are ignorant of scriptures, and they believe these experts that go to, there's certain seminaries that go to, like Dallas Theological Seminary. They go to these seminaries, and what the seminaries do is basically teach them how to deceive people, or it deceives the pastors, and then the pastors come back thinking they know something, but they don't know anything. And so there's so many of these going on that people won't accept it. They say you're some kind of a nut job because you don't believe in this stuff. And most of the people that you know that don't believe this are really meek, uh, quiet people that just read the Bible all the time for themselves, and um, they don't they don't even really care about what's taught in the church, because they see it's all just a dog and pony show. You see these people, they're all dressed up in their best, and that Jesus said that, that take in people that are homeless people, give them a front row seat. Don't give positions of prominence to people that are dressed up and rich people. But that's the exact opposite. The rich people are always treated well because they donate a lot of money to the church. So it's there's a lot of hypocrisy. There's a lot of showboating. There's a lot of theft. Like scams going on. You can see that the evangelical. What do you call that? Televangelists. They're taking your money. Jim Baker. All those people. God, Kenneth Copeland. All these people. They take your money, and usually they sell books, they sell DVDs, and people made money on fiction, and people think that that's truth in these fiction books, and it's a fiction book. What's that one guy? I forgot all these names. They're so long ago. There's all kinds of stuff like that, and it's really kind of obvious to spot it out once you understand. If you just read the Bible and you discern what it says in the Bible, you'll see tons of contradictions to what you believe in there, and you have to make a decision what you're going to believe. And I started reading the Bible a while back, and I just could not believe the differences, and I had to just kind of ignore what the Bible was telling me so that I could continue going to church. Because if I believe what they said, it was telling me don't go to these churches, and I just didn't know what to do because I didn't know of any other churches to go to. I got to go to church, and so I did. And I'm not attacking church or anything. Go to church, that's good, but I'm just saying that I don't want to be around that. And I saw through it later on. I figured out later on, and because what happened was basically the church I was in became more about psychology and more about marriage counseling and more about all these other things, and would very rarely mention there's a certain thing that Satan's attacking, and that's the crucifixion of Jesus, the resurrection of Jesus, and the return of Jesus. And so they have taught all these false doctrines to get rid of that, to distract you from that, and distract you from all kinds of godly things, edifying things and things like that. So there's tons of these predictions going on right now on YouTube, and now it could be that the tribulation begins on the 23rd. The Feast of Trumpets is on the 23rd, and maybe, because Trump signs a deal. I haven't even studied that yet. Again, I have to review all this stuff constantly. But you look in the book of Daniel, and it'll have some things. Jesus mentioned that if you read Matthew 24, it's very clear to you. Jesus said you're going to see war, earthquakes, and all these things happening. The end is yet to come, and then he'll have sorrows. But then he said, then you'll see this, and then you'll see all these events happen, and then he said, then you will see Jesus, the whole world will see him coming, and then everybody will see him coming, and then you'll see his angels coming and the host coming, and then the dead will, and then he's going to gather his elect from the four corners of the earth. Well, if you believe in that dispensationalism garbage, you don't believe that because you think the elect is the Jews. See how tricky Satan is? No, the elect is his people. His people. And in Revelation, it's the same thing. It's like, well, look at the letters, all those letters to the churches. Are they letters to Jewish churches? No, they're letters to Greek churches. See, it's written in Greek originally. It's not written in Hebrew. And so is all the Gospels. And the Gospels are spread to the message of the Gospels were spread to the Gentiles. They weren't spread to the Jews. Now, Paul did go to the Jew first in every town. Usually he would go to the Jews first to try to show them that the Messiah had come because they were waiting for the Messiah. And he was telling them, hey, look, he's come. And then he tries to prove it in the Bible that it's come. And then they start to realize, wait, this is going to upset our whole charade that we've got. So they threw him out. So that's what's going on today. There's people out there telling all these lies and stuff, and the people come and say, hey, no, that's not how it is. They just get rid of you. They don't want you around, and so that's the same old story. So that's all I got to say really is just be discerning on your own. Don't trust what God and the Bible tells you over what man tells you. I know that's hard to do. It was hard for me to do. For many years, I trusted men. I said, wait, all these guys can't be wrong, right? I mean, there's millions of people that believe this Darwin, Schofield, pre-trib, dispensationalist, that's for the Jews, that's not for us. The Jews need to be punished during the tribulation, which is nonsense. They're not being punished. Paul said that their eyes will be opened. So in the end, there's going to be revival. And you see more and more Jewish people are starting to realize that Christianity is the answer and that Jesus is the Messiah. And they believe that Jesus is the Messiah. A lot of them secretly do. And Jesus has things to say about them. You need to come out and tell people what you really believe. So eventually that's going to happen. It might start happening right now. You might start having a bunch of Jewish people say, I've been a Christian for many years, but I have to tell you that this is what I believe, And so that's what's going to happen. We're going to see more stuff going on. And we are pretty, looks like we're in the end times because we're seeing a real clear definition between good and evil. There's no in between anymore. It's like you either have to be all this stuff that they want you to comply with, it's like the mark of the beast. They're accepting the mark of the beast sort of figuratively, in my figuratively saying, like they're going to accept the mark of the beast. These people prepared for that. They already told that they need to do this and that and that. They have to follow this and that and that. All these evil things they have to do. They have to acknowledge that there's more than two genders when it's clear that there's only. See, it's crazy. You have to admit to things that are insane in order to comply with their way of doing things. And if you don't, you get cast out. So that's persecution against Christians that is growing and is growing. And that's a good sign because that means we're near the end and that we may have to be martyred for what we believe in. So you need to be prepared to be martyred for what you believe in. And the number one thing I've got to say to you is trust God. Just trust God. If you trust God, that's a solution to everything, right? Because he's going to take care of you no matter what happens. Why do you need to be afraid of things when you trust it? So are you afraid that Charlie Kirk, are you afraid now? Because I've seen some guys saying, don't say anything. Don't say anything because Charlie Kirk got shot. I'm like, no. It's the exact opposite. Safety. Have you heard of safety in numbers? If everybody speaks out, then how are they going to shoot? If you have one leader, one guy that's at the top saying everything, and they can shoot him, and then his message is gone. But guess what's happening? Charlie Kirk got shot, and then now all of a sudden everybody's more bold and more attacking than ever against the left. They are not playing games anymore. They're saying no more. Stop it. We are against that agenda. We don't believe it. You should have a right to believe in it because it's destructive to society. See, you have freedom of speech. I'm kind of getting into politics here. You got freedom of speech. But there's certain limitations to it. First of all, the First Amendment only seems to protect grievances against the government. Okay, there's nothing in there that says you have a right to watch porn, to all these other extra things, cussing, swearing, whatever you want to say, anything Even like going on YouTube and putting up a video, for all I know, that's not what they meant. They meant it's supposed to be a freedom of press and freedom of speech. Why do we have all these freedoms? Because we love the freedom. We America. We're a liberal country. We believe in letting other, no matter what they say, we believe in them letting them say what they want to say. But the Constitution did not outline it. Says you can say fire in a theater, and if you say fire in a theater, you're causing a problem. You could kill somebody by saying fire, fire, fire when there's no fire. You can also cause a riot, incite a riot. If you're on the speaker and let's say just Trump just says, go ahead and invade the White House, right? Go ahead and do it. Go break down go invade it. And they said they accused him of actually doing that. So, I see what I'm saying is so there is certain limitations that we can put on freedom of speech. So that's what I'm saying is that it's the second part of my thing because that's a really hot issue that's going on right now. The death of Charlie Kirk, and it's kind of a political issue, but it's not. It's all the same thing. It's persecution of Christians. It's twisting morality into a very tight freaking pretzel shaped object. It's not, it's mental gymnastics to believe any of this stuff. It's straight out from Satan. It's straight out demonic, and we need to just keep telling the truth. And all I got to say about that is, pick your battles. Pick your battles because first of all, time is short. So make it about Jesus. Make it about Jesus instead about politics. Just like I'm not saying not to talk about politics. I'm just saying always try to include the truth, about Jesus with people, because if they don't know about him, then they are demonic and they are in bondage and they need to be set free, and we need to tell them what's going on. So we have a lot of work to do. Jesus said that there's a lot of work to do. So thank you for watching. And like I said, I don't have I want you to do your own homework. I'm just telling you, hey man, I think this is bogus. This whole September 23rd thing is, and I think that people are overreacting to what's going on. When they see, it seems interesting that when they see persecution coming, that's when they start thinking we need Jesus coming back. And then they start thinking about him returning. It's the opposite. We're going to be decapitated. We're going to be beheaded for what we believe in. And I like that idea because then, hey, it's like I made it. I made it to heaven. All right, catch you later.